All right, here we are after canceling previously, and we've had more technical difficulties today. Fantastic. Gotta love the world of podcasting and doing videos and all that stuff. But welcome to the Vault Podcast. We're live once again. As usual, we're going to talk about our playlists and just random music stuff, I'm sure. So, what do you got? You guys want to start off with our mixtape number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go.
yeah.
Let me pull it up here so I can look at the songs and.
All right, Jessman, you want to kick it off while he's pulling everything up?
Sure. Are we just gonna, do you want to
Whatever.
wing it?
Just
Okay,
yeah.
word. Okay, well, I kind of, with the songs that I brought to the playlist this week, they were all kind of not on a specific theme. They weren't all the same, but they were all fairly heavy songs that were looking at either religion or the government or both, just in a different analytical way. And from a number of different artists as far as in their popularity and their various messages. But as far as a highlight from our mixtape, I have to say that my two favorite tracks, of course, Memory Palace, Between the Buried and Me.
Yeah.
So that's so good. And that's one of those songs where I feel like the longer, some people have an aversion to longer songs, and sometimes I do. I feel like they can be overdone. But whenever I started getting into Dream Theater is whenever I started really appreciating longer songs, and that's not looking, of course, at like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and the Grateful Dead and various jam bands, but I really started appreciating, those longer tracks in rock music, and that's just it's a beautiful song, and it totally kicks in the 6.5 minute mark or so on that song. It's absolutely amazing. But that song I
I
loved.
like that song too.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Did you listen to it all the way through, Robbie?
I did a few times actually.
Good.
It was awesome. It's like super
Awesome.
epic. I mean, the guitar riffs to it were amazing through the entire song. I don't even really care for a whole lot of progressive rock, but this is there's another one here on one of these playlists that we did also that was a progressive rock song I like. So this would be, there's two songs on here I like that are progressive rock, which normally wouldn't pick, but like I said, you guys are kind of making me get out of my comfort zone here, so I really dug that song a lot. I made myself first off listen to the whole thing, no matter if I didn't like it or anyway, because Ann was like, "He won't listen to the whole thing." I was like, "Well, I'm gonna listen to it then, at least get
Prove
through
me
one."
wrong.
But no, I really
Awesome.
dug it.
Good for you, though.
That
No,
was one
that's
of my
all
favorites. That was one of
good.
my favorites on here for sure.
And my other favorite was 7 Years, and that song's all over the radio, and it's super poppy and super commercial. But that was one of those
Awesome.
songs that the first time I heard it, I don't listen to the radio that much, but when I'm in a vehicle and I'm driving with someone else and the radio is on and I'm listening to what's happening in top 40, that song came on. And I'm a very lyric centric person, so I started listening to that, and just as it progressed through that song, the more I started to just lose it, and I was crying by the end of it. It's just one of those very reflective, feely songs. It gave me all the feels. I liked it. So those were
Yep.
my standout tracks. However, this playlist, top to bottom, was outstanding, gentlemen. I do want to say thank you for sharing all 5 of the tracks that each of you did, because I really enjoyed listening to every single one of them, even if they weren't my favorite song. I really was.
Mhm.
I really felt like this mixtape was super outstanding. So thank you guys for those tracks.
Yeah. I feel like we're getting better at making playlists because every week it's like I like both your guys' playlist and the mixtape better than the previous week. I don't know.
I'm really
Maybe it's just
I'm No, totally. And I'm looking forward to doing more on a theme, kind of what we've been
yeah.
kicking around as far as, having a general idea to begin with, and then we all throw in our different perspectives on that same idea. I'm super stoked about doing that with you
Yeah.
guys too.
That'll be a lot of fun.
I think
Absolutely.
I agree.
also making all these playlists, we're getting more and more used to listening to this and out over here and way up here, stuff we normally are not going to even think about
Right.
listening to that we're being forced to listen to, and all of a sudden we're becoming fans of all these different kinds of music, which is what we're here to do in the first place.
Yeah, if it's not working for anybody else, it's working for me, so that's good enough for me. No, but for real, if I can get enjoyment out of it, I'm sure somebody else can. I want to point one thing out first. This Ill Mind song, I find it interesting, Justin, that you picked this one. I was like, well, there's like 8 of them out, but on Spotify there's only like they're missing a few of them.
Right.
But this song, and I love Hobson. He's an amazing lyricist. I mean, there's no way you can take away from that, but he's kind of like a self-righteous asshole, pardon my French. He acts like everybody owes him something because he is so good and he does say things that most people wouldn't, but he's kind of self-righteous, I guess. He just left the label and everything. So now it's hard for me to look back at some of his music and like it as much as I did before he copped this attitude about everything. And I don't know. Yeah, I just want to get that. I got another rant here for you guys here in a little bit too, but you can't take away Hobson.
I do want to say though, no, and definitely, and I want to say that I was looking at that song strictly from a lyrical standpoint, and that is another song. That is another song that the first time I listened to it, it made me feel incredibly uncomfortable, and it did make me cry. And the reason it made me cry, and to make me feel for me to be blatantly honest here is that I felt like there were some things that he said that I related to, and I felt guilty for relating to those things, and that made me feel uncomfortable. So every time I would listen to this song, there was that feeling of just general discomfort, and it did make me cry. It did move me to tears, and I've listened to it a few times, so I'm not crying whenever I listen to it, but it still is. It's a very raw song, and I feel that it is also the opinion of a number of people in a particular sect of my generation, specifically, as far as in our early to mid 30s, and being through having lived some life after a relatively sheltered childhood and seeing things differently than you did before.
Yeah. For sure, and he's great at putting those thoughts into words. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
He puts it together really well. I didn't really care for number 8 because number 8's basically like I'm mad at the dude who I split the record label with, and so this song is about how much I hate him and how he stole from me. But that guy hasn't came out with a rap song yet. Hobson is cheating. That's like a black belt beating up like a brand new dude coming in. Just back from that, man. I mean, you can physically harm somebody, but if you cut them down with words and it's recorded and it's out on the web, I mean, you're done. It's there. You can't do nothing about it. How are you gonna come back from that? What a jerk. No. But another one I want to bring up is Zan coming correct 100% of the time with country music that I've never heard before. Or Jake Orbis, the Broken Band, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Great song.
Listens and just doesn't care. They just rock out. And that was one of my favorites on here as well. I can always count on you for new country music. I didn't think it existed anymore.
I try. It's hard. It's out there, but you got to dig.
Oh yeah, I found my notes, by the way.
Awesome. Fantastic. Now we can start the show.
All right. Yeah, the computer.
Very good.
So.
All right, I got to bring it up because this was what I was expecting you guys to mention, and nothing was mentioned yet. You didn't say anything about me putting Love TKO by Teddy Pendergrass on here.
Well, that's because I haven't got that far yet. I just found my notes in.
Oh, okay. I was like, because I legitimately love this song. I heard it while I was playing. It was one of the Grand Theft Auto games. I heard it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the coolest song ever, and I hate this kind of music.
That's a great song to do drive-bys to.
It is a great song.
It's Ludacris samples this song. What is it? Like back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. That I'm pretty sure is the same song anyway.
I just feel that I feel like this guy's singing this from the heart, the way that he sings it, like his tone and his approach to singing it. It doesn't feel like some other R&B song to me. Like I don't know. It's hard to explain, but.
Well, it's Teddy Pendergrass. He sings everything like that. I mean, he makes you feel like Otis Redding, he does the same thing.
Same thing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They don't call it soul for nothing.
But you know what I mean, though. There's a
James.
lot of soul music that somehow doesn't have soul sometimes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. They're
Like
just
it's maybe
you
like
sound pretty
trying to be more like pop music or something.
Absolutely.
That's
And
exactly.
as far as coming correct, as Robbie put earlier, I think this song was a great. That fits that perfectly as far as that choice for sure.
Yep.
Solid.
Yeah, that's a good
All
one.
right.
And
It goes without saying, Zan. It wasn't mentioned because it goes without saying. That song's
Well, I mean,
outstanding.
I just always expect if I put a song on here that no one is expecting, not because it's weird, but because it's maybe something really popular or something from a genre that I just absolutely can't stand. I'm
We'll get
expecting
to that
somebody
on
to
your
say,
playlist.
all right.
Madonna.
I want to kind of go on a little rant here about this guy.
Do
Low-key.
it.
All right. First of all, who does this guy think he is? First of all, he's a British guy, and he's like, oh, I'm not attacking the American people, just the country. But it's kind of the same thing. And he's like, I don't hate America. America hates me was another one of his lyrics.
Yep.
Also, don't find that true. He hates America. He says it. The whole song is basically what he's saying. And he's not even from here. What if, say, an American rapper decided to be like, Mexico's dirty and gross and their water tastes bad, and went off about a different country? It would be an uproar.
Oh,
It's
I thought that was just your Periscope from the other day.
I hate it. It was pretty close anyway. But he's just. I don't think that. First off, I had to think about political rap that I don't really care too much for. Like Newer Sage Francis. He gets kind of political, a little preachy. But this is like, for some reason, it almost offended me. And I don't know if that's ever happened in my life. I was like, this guy is kind of making me mad.
It's offensive.
It was kind of offensive, and
I feel he did. I feel he
it
did that on
was.
purpose for shock factor. I think he was looking for shock factor on the song, and I think that's what he got. Honestly,
Well, he got it for sure. If you
Yeah.
played this for a bunch of rednecks, they'd be like, "This guy's part of ISIS" or something,
Which would be just as
I mean,
idiotic, really, as that comment anyway.
Right? Fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. I just coming from a British guy, and he's just like hating on America for some reason. I was like, and I'm not like a political guy. I'm not like hanging a flag in the back of the car, but I just didn't think that was really something he should have done. It really wasn't like his place to do so, maybe. But hey, that's what makes him stand out, I guess. Freedom of speech kind of thing.
Really, I mean, if you want to think about it, is to put it in perspective of what's currently going on. I mean, look at all the people that are Americans of any race that want to step all over the American flag.
Right.
It's essentially the same thing. I mean,
right. Yeah. That's
I think
exactly.
it's stupid, but I mean, I don't get offended by it or anything. I just kind of shake my head and go on. So
That's why I said almost offended me, because really I was just like, man, this guy, I don't know who he thinks he is. Like, he's gonna come to America, America's gonna beat him up.
Oh my goodness!
No, I'm joking. But yeah, you know what I mean. People are like that, and he says some pretty harsh things in this song, but he says them. So I mean, I guess you got to give it up for kicking down the door and not really caring. Just doing it.
I
So,
think
gotta
it
have
was
respect.
looking for a
He's a good
YouTube
lyricist.
paycheck. No press is bad press, and looking for a YouTube paycheck. I'd step out on that limb and say that, because I think there's a lot to be said for something very shocking,
I agree.
something that will drive people to it because they like watching train wrecks. And not saying that he is not a talented lyricist
No.
or rapper as far as that goes, as far as his actual flow, but the actual content itself was designed to pull on those strings of Americans, and I think for a large part it did that effectively.
He did a great job at that.
Yep.
Because I was like, man, this guy is like saying some pretty mean things about my country here. It like made me turn into like a, but yeah, so I just kind of wanted to rant about that. I was like, he's an alright lyricist. Maybe the rest of his songs are a little different, but I didn't really care for his lyrical content and approach on this one, personally.
On the converse to that, Robbie, what did you think about Lecrae's "Welcome to America"?
I liked
loved
that
it.
one. I know you didn't ask me, but I liked that song.
No, tell me. That's I love Lecrae. So
He's great, and he's a Christian rapper, so he's clean, family friendly.
he's going to
but
be in Springfield, I believe, this month at Drury. Actually, this month or next month, he's going to
Again.
be in concert. Yeah,
he played there last year in April,
awesome.
and Andy Mineo was there one year too. It's
He's
some
on-
kind of like Christian concert, like a few bands are playing, I think, right?
Well, this is his official Anomaly tour, so he has some supporting artists with him. Yeah.
Awesome. I would definitely like to go to that, but he keeps it real. But he talks about.
All right,
how-
someone's playing Teddy Pendergrass. That's awesome.
No, it's gone. Sorry about that.
Oh, boo.
I just I was looking at the playlist and hit the button, and then there you go. It happened, I guess.
All right, so do you guys have anything else on the mixtape before we move on to just touch on our individual playlists a little bit?
I loved it.
Yeah,
We're getting better.
pretty
We're
good.
getting better every time, so you guys need to follow this and check it out.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about this Robin Thicke song real quick. First of all, I hate Robin Thicke, and I like some Lil Wayne, but on this song, I didn't like any of Lil Wayne's verses, but I loved Robin Thicke's verse. His like singing and everything, and so it kind of threw me off a little bit there. Like I said, I don't like love either one of them, but I was surprised that I liked Robin Thicke's part on it a little bit better. So I'm glad you put that one on there. I'd never heard that song before. It wasn't too bad. It's pretty good.
I felt like he kind of I do feel like he put his heart into it as far as how sad he was with what happened to New Orleans and just what was left of his community and feeling very sad about that. And that was why I included it, because it was a song that he wasn't talking about his stereotypical fodder as far as in a lot of his material,
Yes,
which
and
and incredibly clever sexual puns, which he is great. He is great with that. But this song I felt was a bit deeper for Lil Wayne, and that's why I threw it on there.
And I like that. I didn't care for the way his flow and everything on this particular song. Like, he's very hit or miss with me. I either like love it and think it's like the best song I've ever heard, or I'm like, this is garbage. Not that this song was garbage, but that's just kind of how he hits me most of the time. He's all
Understandable.
over it.
Yeah.
But I guess when you put out 7 albums a month, you're not going to have 100% success
Right.
rate, Just throwing on content and seeing what sticks. So, whose playlist are we going to go over first? Can I start? Can I start with mine?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
I wanted to talk about mine because at first I was like, this whole emo thing about my hip hop has just came up, and so I was like, I'm gonna make kind of like a emo hip hop, and I was like, it's just gonna be all atmosphere and groove. So I decided to add some other songs that still kind of had the same content as far as they're talking about females, but threw a couple funny ones in there. You got ICP, I Stuck Her With My Wang. That was a good one. Taking it back, but yeah, so that's kind of what I went for, and then I had to switch it up in the middle so we didn't get 100% of the same artist. I might as well just put an Atmosphere CD on there.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so I that's why I threw in like the Tech 9. 7 Words is a great one, And yeah, so I just want to throw that. That's kind of how I went with it. That's why some of it's like really serious, sappy stuff, and then there's like some super randomness right to it too, also.
I will say that LL Cool J I Need Love song is totally awesome. That's all I
Great
got
song.
to say. Fantastic.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Like I said, that All World album, his greatest hits, is one of the albums I listened to a lot when I was younger. Like right when it first came out, listened to it constantly. It's good. It's cheesy. It's real cheesy. I'm surprised that you really liked it that much.
Oh, that's why I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Like 80s music, like it's cheesy, sure, but I think that's why like it still sounds good to me. I don't like it as a novelty. I just like it because
Right.
it sounds good. I love that like overproduced cheesy 80s sound, like the a lot of the radio stuff, like which we're gonna get to later on with my Madonna. But stuff like actually like a couple days ago I was listening to like Tiffany and Debbie Gibson and Stacey Q and all those like mall girls.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I love that. I just love that 80s sound that no matter
Big
if it was
hair.
pop music, if it was hip hop, if it was metal, They all had this like
Right.
cheesy 80s feel to it. Absolutely love it.
And stuff. And LL Cool J is the man anyway. I don't know about his newer stuff, but used to be the man. I threw another Danny Brown song at you guys. I like to kind of pepper him in every once in a while. He's a pretty unique guy. I already just finished his new album, so I'm super pumped about that. But this song is really dirty, so not to be played for children, but it fit the category.
Yeah, you're. I
Sort
will.
of.
Yeah, you did a good job theming your playlist essentially. Because when I was going through it, I'm like, oh yeah, he's finally giving in to the emo thing.
Right. I was like, I might as well embrace it. And well, I had to throw it off a little bit. I couldn't go all the way emo.
I'm going to. I have stayed out of this because I have a lot to say about this playlist. But
Go for it. Go for it.
I'm going to jump in at this point and say that Robbie and I have been having a lot of conversations lately about how he is coming to terms with his emo self. It's going to be a process for him. It's taking some time. But I feel that the songs that were lighthearted and dirty were thrown in because Robbie was uncomfortable with making an entirely emo playlist because I know he's completely capable of it because of the music that he's introduced me to, just because he knows I'm emo, which is great because he'll say things, like, oh, you're emo, so you'd probably like, and then fill in the blank. And I look at that, and so I'm just going to call him out directly on that because he is my homeboy, and that's how we roll. But I loved this playlist absolutely from top to bottom. There were songs, and obviously there were some songs that I loved more than others because I felt that Robbie was being more honest with himself in this playlist than others. And while yes, fun throwbacks, I did enjoy the ICP tracks, and I was wondering why we weren't seeing perhaps some more ICP peppered in just for nostalgia's sake from Robbie to this point. But I had never heard that particular Tech Nine track that
Which one?
The not seven. I had heard 7 Words, not that
Okay,
one, but the other track there, and I really
Good one.
loved that song. And he is someone else who is incredibly emo as far as whenever it gets right down to it. He's so hard, but he is also so in tune with his emotions and that very active struggle. And I felt that song very much it very accurately portrayed a feeling that a lot of people can relate to, and that was a song that I immediately picked up on. I love Atmosphere. God Loves Ugly is an amazing album, and if you're a person who enjoys whether you enjoy good hip hop or you enjoy poetry or you enjoy slam poetry, all of those things you would enjoy Atmosphere, and you would enjoy in particular God Loves Ugly as an album from top to bottom, which Robbie included 2 or 3 tracks from that particular album, and I really enjoyed that exposure there. The Greaves song, Against the Bottom, I love Greaves very much. Greaves was an artist that Robbie introduced to me 2 or 3, well, probably more than that, years ago.
Yeah.
And
He is the most emo rapper ever.
He is, and sure. I love him. And I have to say, this song that you put on this playlist is probably my least favorite song. And the reason is because of the line about throwing something into the bay, what's that you say? Whenever I make fun of people for not being able to rhyme things, that's always like bay and hey and way, and I will just sing a song and come up with as many words that rhyme with that. And I felt like I felt like it was a cheap song made to sell tracks on an album that's so raw that his heart is ripped out of his face and like thrown out onto the page. Yeah. So this song, it's a great song, but in comparison to what Greaves is capable of, I feel that this is not his deepest song.
See, this was one of the first Greaves songs I heard. It's one of my favorites off of this album anyway. There's just a few lines in it that I really liked. yeah, I can't think of them off the top of my head, obviously, but
It totally
that's one of my favorite
jams
ones.
though.
That's one of my favorite ones.
The beat behind it is beautiful, I think, as far as
Right.
the just how it sounds from a sonic perspective. It's a beautiful song.
Good.
But also we have to address what I am referring to as the Stalker song.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
Brother Ali.
Oh yes, sir. That song, whenever I was listening to that initially, I was really enjoying it. And then that first verse, I thought, well, that may be
It's
coming on
sweet.
a little strong, but okay, all right. And then second verse starts, and this left turn happens. And then third verse starts, and it just gets worse. It just crashes and burns.
Right.
The fact that it's called Prince Charming, the fact that it is about it is a stalker happening, and then it ends on a note of I'm not threatening you, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying someone could get killed, but if I can't have you, no one else will. And it's like,
No
whoa,
one else will.
I played that song. I played that song this evening, and I was like, listen to this song. It's gonna take a left turn that you're not going to understand. We're sitting over dinner, and I played it. It took that turn. It was just eyes bugged. Okay,
Right.
that's where this is going. Okay, cool.
He's got that. He's like, I tried to tell you sorry in a card, but I found it in the garbage in your backyard.
Which I made
Like,
sure to
oh,
I made sure to
wait.
point that out. It's like that when you first listen to it, you don't necessarily pick it up, and then you think like, oh no, he was in her
trash.
backyard. Well, and he's in her backyard. He's in her back.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not
Going through her trash.
in her backyard. He knows it's
Yep.
there because he is also there. Yeah, that song. And just a
She's
shout
sort of her
out.
friends.
Yes. And then my other shout out on your list, Robbie, was Dirty Girl. Man, that song throws it down. That song throws it
So
down,
good.
and especially I am a daughter of a mother who the civil rights movement for rights for women was very big, and it was very present, and it was something that I was raised, being told that both of my parents were feminists and go women, and so that song respects all of that. That song, and even though it is in its own sense, you can look at it and say, well, it is kind of objectifying women because he is talking about these girls in a very sexual manner. That is very true.
He's
However,
nice about it.
but it is complimentary in a rap way.
Mhm.
How about that? If that's
Right.
not a quote unquote white girl thing to say, I don't know what it is. It's complimentary
Right.
in a rap way. But looking at that, it's like mad props and respect not only to the women out there with these jobs that are stereotypically, that stereotype has been given to men, but also to the men who are writing songs about these women with dirty hands. I love that so much. I'd never heard this song.
For sure.
Loved
He
it.
talks about driving way out of his way just to go to the specific place to get his oil changed. Like, I mean, it's a great song. Murs is awesome, and he signed to Tech Nine's label now, like just recently. Well, last year I guess he signed to him. Yeah, this is one of my favorite songs. And together, Slug and Murs are called Felt, and they have albums, and they're all dedicated to B-level actresses. I believe this one is a tribute to Lisa Bonet.
Lisa Bonet, yes.
Yeah. They also have a tribute to Christina Ricci and a tribute to Rosie Perez was her newest one, which is all the beats are done by Aesop Rock. So, just little knowledgeable about Felt. Great group.
All right, moving on to Jet. What? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, all these songs are like some of my favorite songs, especially this Twisted song, because you don't hear Twisted do that very often. But they did this one album, Heartbroken and Homicidal, where they kind of like went not soft, but talked about more emotional things, and that was my favorite song on that album. The rest of the album is that good. It's not their style, but just want to throw that one out there.
All right, Jessamyn's playlist is up next. I'll start off with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 songs of note I have off of it. That's saying something. I'll start off with "Forever" by Ben Harper. That's like my favorite song from him ever. Forever, no pun intended. Yeah, Ben Harper's awesome. Like anything that guy does, it's always like it might not be my favorite thing in the world, but I can always count on every one of his songs to be solid. Mm-hmm. And Chris Stapleton, Whiskey and You, of course. Damien Rice, actually. Real quick story on that. I first heard Damien Rice in the I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was like the Columbia House thing that we've talked about numerous times where you get the CDs.
Right.
And I got a free Damien Rice CD because he was like the artist of the month. And I was like, oh, okay. I did not listen to that kind of music at the time, and I checked it out, and there was actually like 3 or 4 songs on there I liked, so I was familiar with him. I liked that. You and Me, awesome. Milk Carton Kids, like that's 2 groups right there. I don't even know who they are, and I right-clicked it, and I added it to my notes playlist. That's I have it set on private, so I can just kind of keep tabs of these bands I've never heard of to then go back and check out. So, yeah, just awesome playlist. What was the theme for this one? I mean, a lot of it was more my kind of stuff. It seemed like it was a lot more downer, just singer-songwriter approach.
Absolutely. This was looking at some of my favorite songwriters. And I am known for making sad bastard music, as I call it. And that's what I enjoy listening to.
I love it. Keep it up.
And Zan, you and I have talked about this before, as far as whenever I listen to music that's incredibly lighthearted, I have a really hard time getting into that because I'm really looking for depth in everything, and if it's not sad, it feels like it's lacking depth to me, and that may be what I'm projecting onto it, but I feel that some of the deepest songs are some of the saddest ones. Just to kind of throw this out there, you did mention You and Me. Did you look into them further at all?
Not yet. I just thought, like I said, when I go through your guys' playlist, if I see a song I really like or an artist I like but I've never heard of, I just right-click and then add it to my notes, and then later down the road I go back and check it out again. I've listened to the song multiple times, though, since then.
Did you recognize the female vocalist on that track?
No. Who is it?
It is, believe it or not, that is Pink, and that is the guy from City and Color. Dallas Green, I believe his name is, and they were friends, and they played music together, just jamming at each other's houses, and they made this album together that's absolutely outstanding. And her voice is transcendent. I've heard her sing this style of music before, and when she actually committed to play an entire album, it's just absolutely beautiful. And you can look online. There are some brilliant live YouTube performances of the 2 of them doing this song that just are mind-boggling. But Milk Carton Kids, they're the ones who do Michigan, obviously. But that's a song that I absolutely love. I've been in love with that song since forever, and I also find it very socially pertinent as far as right now, as far as what's going on in Michigan with water and things of that sort. And this song really reflects a lot of that blight and sadness and emptiness. And this song was written, of course, before the water was tainted, so that adds to it. But yeah, Chris Stapleton is somebody also that he's been one that he had some mad love at the CMAs this year. He won a bunch of awards for his album Traveler. What a lot of people don't know is that a lot of these songs that even and it may be a little bit after the era that you fellas enjoy with your Randy Travis or whatever that you're listening to.
Hey, Randy Travis is great.
No, I
gospel
know.
albums.
No,
So.
I know. I know he does. I believe you. But anyway, I don't know if he's writing a little bit after that, but
Well,
most well-written country songs that you've heard on the radio in the last 10 to 15 years were written by Chris Stapleton. You just didn't know it because he was just writing them and playing his own music. And also, if anyone's heard of the band The Steel Drivers, he was their original vocalist, and so he was obviously that's where I was introduced to him, was through the Steel Drivers and their first self-titled album.
Right.
And I've been listening to him for forever. And this song was originally released by some fella, I don't even know his name, who did not
Tim
do
McGraw.
the song. Did Tim McGraw do this
Tim
song?
McGraw did this song in the 90s. Yes, he did.
Okay,
So,
someone else
now,
did this song too. But Chris
so all the
Stapleton
songs
wrote
I've
it.
heard by him, are you sure? Because every song I've heard by him so far has been a cover. You're
Every
pretty
song
confident about that
no,
George Jones song too.
Listen, no, well, there's a George Jones song, but no, you can look up. Robbie, something you need to know about country music is that most artists don't write their own songs.
No. George Jones didn't write that song.
No. What?
George Jones didn't write Tennessee Whiskey. I know that. Like, it was
No.
written by
I'm talking about Whiskey and You. We're talking about Whiskey and You. Chris Stapleton wrote that song. I'm not talking about Tennessee Whiskey. But in country music, it is a thing, and it has been for like 25 years. You don't sing your own songs. Somebody else writes your songs. That's why ASCAP and other groups are so awesome. Is you have a membership, you sit at your house, you write great country songs, you sell them, other people record them, and you just sit and make money. And my point is, that's what Chris Stapleton's been doing for a long time, and just playing bands that he wants to play and doing his own thing. And so this album, and he's getting all this grand attention, I want people to know that he's been on the radar. He's been on my radar for a really long time, and I feel like all these people who like country music, I don't even like country music, and I love Chris Stapleton. I've loved Chris Stapleton. It's like, join me, and don't just join me because he's popular. Listen to everything the dude's done. There are videos of him playing in a bar, will blow your mind. Well, he was writing songs for people like Tim McGraw too, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Darius
that
Rucker.
is my Chris Stapleton. That is my Chris Stapleton rant. I will get off of my Chris Stapleton
Man,
soapbox
I don't know.
now.
I don't know what I'm gonna.
I just got
about.
shut
We've
down.
Had Robbie rant. We've had Jessamine rant. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. So.
All right, so I'll go ahead and put my 2 cents in on this one. First of all, me and Zan were kind of talking about this. Folk and singer-songwriter genre, are they, like, what is the difference between these two? I figured we'd ask you, Jessamine, since you were listening to a little bit more than we did, or I did anyway.
No, for sure. I would say that first of all, a lot of folk music, as far as classic in the traditional sense of folk as a genre, a lot of that music has been written, and so a lot of that is covering traditional tunes, a la the "O Brother, Where Art Thou" soundtrack. There's a lot of gospel and folk songs on that album. You can look at the catalog of Arlo Guthrie and Woody Guthrie, and see a lot of folk music throughout that. But whenever it comes to folk music now, I think a lot of folk music is going to be singer-songwriter music, in the sense that it is going to tell a story. One distinction I would say between singer-songwriter is that a lot of times it is more focused on a smaller situation, sometimes just one person and their guitar, sometimes a smaller, more acoustic-focused band. As far what I would put into singer-songwriter category. Whenever I put on a singer-songwriter bill, as far as a show goes, I'm looking for acoustic acts or acoustic solo performers. And if someone plays an electric guitar, but it's just them and their electric guitar and their songs, I will put them on that bill. But it's more minimal and more focused on the song and
personal.
the words. Yeah.
Right. I got you. That makes sense. I like that. Because me and Zan were kind of talking about it, and I was like, well, I know this is folk, and this would be, singer-songwriter, but I knew there had to be a fine line. It's kind of like rap and hip-hop. It's close to the same. That, I guess it's a little more defined.
And for me, folk music is more like hippie music in a way. kind of a little bit more spacey, if you will. And the singer-songwriter genre seems to be a lot more heartfelt and personal issues. Am I on par with that? Okay.
Yeah, and I would say I would say honestly that singer-songwriter, especially in a current sense, I feel is filled with a lot of emo kids who are playing acoustic guitars and writing sad songs, or kids who, when they were in high school, they were emo kids, and now they're hipsters and they're playing their guitar and singing sad songs. So, and looking at it, I'm being very honest and very respectful whenever I say that, but that's a lot of that singer-songwriter genre. That's what I mean. Chris Carrabba, of all people, Further Seems Forever, and then he went to Dashboard Confessional. So but then now he's playing in a band. What are they? Twin Pines, Twin Oaks, Twin something, and it's good music. But he's basically in a folk band. That's what he's doing now. And right. It's very different, but he's a grown-up emo kid, and that's what a lot of these grown-up emo kids are doing. Gotcha. Is they're still writing sad songs, but they're playing them closer to country music, but it's not country music, and it's not folk music either.
Right. So it's kind of like a gray line in between. It's up to you to decide. It depends on how you feel about it, I guess, like how it makes you feel. But that'd be kind of work, right? How it strikes you emotionally, or
yeah. Well, kind of, you know how for like a long time, alternative as a genre was very broad. Now that's kind of starting to narrow down again. But even now you could use it in a broad sense. Well, no, I take that back. There was a time alternative was very specific. There were bands that were all alternative bands, and now you can classify a lot of different types of bands as alternative, and it's not such a narrow genre anymore. And I would say singer-songwriter is becoming that as well.
Right. Well, that makes sense. All right, I'll touch on a few of these songs that I cared for anyway. Iron and Wine, Naked as We Come, I think was the band there. Really dug the way like the male and the female harmony. It was really good, super smooth, very captivating. They really draw you in on it. I really dug it. The other one I really, really liked was, try not to mess this up, Rocky Botolato.
Yeah.
Is that right? Pretty close?
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah. I can really relate to this song, obviously, especially right now. We're just talking about this. It's kind of a sad song. He's talking about escaping the pain and drinking Makers, and Makers is delicious. So
yeah.
But it's a really good song. I like that one a lot as well. Avett Brothers, also very awesome. I've heard about these guys, a little bit before. Not too much of them I've really looked into, but these guys are really good. This song was another one of my favorites off your list. I liked almost your entire list actually this time. And,
me too.
Even, I really dug it.
Thanks, guys.
The only one I didn't really care for was Damien Rice, and I normally like Damien Rice, but I just didn't really care for this particular song for some reason. There's nothing in particular I could pick out and be like, oh, I didn't, I hated this, but it just didn't hit me right, I guess you could say, if that makes any sense. But everything else, I loved it. It was a great mix.
I do want to throw out there, Rocky Vatalato is amazing. I've been listening to him for a really long time. His album that this song is on is also called Makers. He played Springfield, and he played the Outland Ballroom. I'd been listening to him for, at that point, I guess 9 years, almost 10 years at that point, when he played. And it made me so sad because he had a very underground following when I was in college in the 2002 to 2006 era. And a lot of us, he was one of those artists where I got a copy of a burned CD of his demo that someone else had passed to someone else through the Little Rock, Arkansas emo scene, and I ended up with this CD, and it blew my mind. I kept waiting for it to actually come out, and it did, and so I've been following him for forever. And I expected more people at the ballroom, and there weren't that many people, and it made me sad. But I got to meet him, and I got to tell him about how this music really, really carried me through some incredibly tough times. This song in particular. I felt like I hung out with this album a lot. I own it on vinyl. He signed it for me. It makes me happy. Nice. But yeah.
That's awesome.
But But yeah, and also if you do get the opportunity to see the Avett Brothers, you absolutely should. They tour Springfield regularly. I've seen them once in Springfield, or maybe even twice in Springfield, and I've also seen them in Memphis. They put on an amazing show. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I bet they do. I mean, anything I've heard was awesome. I think the first thing that Josh showed me theirs was actually a live album. So that was my first exposure was live. So I'm sure their concerts are awesome. Everything I've heard is great. So I really dig them.
Well, while I would like to talk about every track on my list, the one I do want to make sure that we touch on, I do want to say, if people aren't familiar with the Civil Wars, you should listen to their music because it's heart-wrenching. But the song I would like both of your opinions on, it's one that Robbie and I kind of touched on whenever we were chatting in Hangouts earlier this week, but that is John Wayne Gacy Jr.
How do you pronounce the guy's name?
I have heard it pronounced two different ways. I have heard it pronounced Sufjan, as in like John. I've also heard it pronounced Sufjan, with the G like the sh sound. So
Where's he from?
I don't know. He's from Illinois.
Oh, he is really.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. This album actually.
Weird.
Yeah, this album actually is dedicated to his home state. It's called Illinois with an E on the end, and every single song has to do with something in the state of Illinois. And John Wayne Gacy Jr. was from Illinois, so hence he's on this album. But Robbie, talk to me.
John Wayne Gacy was a psychopath, but the way they talk about the stuff in this song is. It's very detailed, and they do it in not such a direct way, but you still kind of get what they're saying, but they make it creepier than it actually was somehow, which I don't even know if that's possible. But yeah, I mean, they tell some pretty gruesome details in this song, but like I said, they do it in a real smooth, sly way, but they just kind of add an extra level of creep to it, I would say. I mean, if you want me to sit here and give you detailed background on John Wayne Gacy, I could do that too. But
we'd be here all night if we were going to do that.
That's for sure.
Zan, what did you think about the juxtaposition of those lyrics over almost a happy, melodic, almost a lullaby kind of actual musical picture? What did you think about that?
I didn't think the music was that happy, to be honest. It was kind of going along with the rest of this whole playlist. It was all downer tones, I guess I'll use that word. It all kind of fit together. Now lyrics, I wanted to say, I forgot to mention this earlier. You told me when you were putting this out, you're like, you have to give the lyrics a chance. And I was telling Robbie, like, I really tried, and like on this song, and there's some others I have written down that I went over. Like, I hear the lyrics, and like I'm really trying to focus, but I don't put it all together because the music and the tones are kind of overriding my mind and putting me into a different mood to where the lyrics are still there, and I tried, but none of them really grabbed me. Like Robbie was saying, you could follow what he's saying, and I think he does a pretty good job describing in an interesting way. And then, like, again, just the Ben Harper Forever. It's kind of hard the way that the music is on that. The vocals are so much higher, so it's kind of hard to ignore the lyrics. But I couldn't tell you what the song's about. Like, if it comes on, I would know the words as the song is going, but I can't tell you what it's about. I know that sounds weird, but that's one reason I struggle with a lot of the lyrics, because just the guitar is like putting me into this weird downer mood. So
that's interesting.
One thing I'm not sure about is if John Wayne Gacy, the serial killer, was a junior or not. I don't know. He was. I don't ever remember seeing his name written down as junior, but like I said, that's may have been one of the facts I overlooked when I was reading about people in crawl spaces. But yeah, I didn't know that, and I was like, well, who's John Wayne Gacy Jr. and why is he singing about John Wayne Gacy's killings? And he's giving the wrong guy credit. Gacy would be upset. He would, guys. That's a serious serious thing.
All right, we got about 10 minutes left. I guess it's time for you guys to butcher my playlist at this point.
I loved your playlist.
I loved it too.
All right.
It was great, dude. It's, like I said, every week it gets better. My favorite, and I can't believe this was my favorite, and I love this. I've listened to this song on its own at least 10 times since I started this playlist. Liquid Tension Experiment
Yes.
was awesome. Never heard of these guys.
Oh.
Awesome synth, the great like moog bass, the drumming was amazing. It had a lot going on, but it didn't sound cluttered. You know what I mean? They made a lot of cool sounds. I'm pretty sure there's a guitar solo. I think that's what it was, and that pumped me up. You don't hear that very often. But that was my favorite song out of any of the playlist tonight. I listened to the song over and over. It's great.
That's
cool.
That's
Thank you for that
statement.
one.
Yep. And they have
I liked it.
all
It
their
was good.
songs are really good, but I picked that one because when I listen to that album, that's the one that stands out to me because it's super spacey. So
It's great. Robbie,
It seems
do you
like-
listen? Have you listened to Dream Theater at all, Robbie?
Yeah. What's the guy's name? Joe Satriani, right? Is that
no,
right?
but Joe
Nope.
Satriani's good too.
Yes, he's good, but no.
John Petrucci?
John Petrucci.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Petrucci.
John Petrucci. Yeah. Well, but like basically half or most of this band is Dream Theater.
It's
so-
basically
There it
Dream
is.
Theater with the bass player from King Crimson, I believe.
Yep.
Nice. I was going to say, I know
Mike-
there was
Mike
somebody
Portnoy.
very notable in here, but I couldn't remember.
Well, everyone in this band is notable. I mean, everyone in this band is a musical scholar, literally, and most of them have master's degrees in music. And Mike Portnoy is a fantastic, incredible drummer, and everything that he does, I just look at in awe and listen to in amazement.
It was awesome. I mean, it's hard for me normally to listen to a group and be able to pick out, okay, well the bass is doing this exactly, and that. But on this, every sound stood out perfectly. I mean, the recording on it was great. Overall, like I said, it was awesome. I'm sure I've already played the crap out of it. Spotify is going to be giving me some weird things on my Discover list. I'll tell you that.
You're welcome.
So I just want to get that off my chest. That song was awesome. So I'll definitely be looking into more of those guys if I can stop listening to this song.
You got to tell your story about when you thought you were just listening to a pretty regular playlist and then the one song had to throw you off.
The Madonna song?
Yep.
It's like, I was like, oh, well, Zan backed off the randomness. I mean, it's kind of random, but it all kind of follows the same, a pretty similar line. And then it was just all of a sudden like, pow, here's some Madonna in the middle of like 10-minute progressive rock songs and weird synth songs, from the 80s. And you always keep you on your toes, you always keep me guessing. Because I try not to look at the list when I'm listening. I just hit shuffle and listen, and then come back later. So
yeah, that's what I do too when I listen to your guys's.
It's kind of like picking up a cup and thinking you're getting water and it's Sprite. Or, you're like, oh, whoa, what did I just do? But it's refreshing at the same time,
That's a good analogy.
Yes, that.
You guys
proven
shuffle my list.
I shuffle it
list.
if I'm listening to it on the phone, but then when I actually sit down to make notes, I go back and listen on my desktop, and I listen to everything in order.
Okay, well, just so everybody knows, my playlists are ordered kind of in the high fidelity John Cusack, Nick Hornby, all of that sense of middle, beginning, end, ebb and flow. So just so everybody knows, it is intentional.
All right. Good to know. I do the same thing as Zan. If I'm driving around, I put it on shuffle because I'm not going to be able to look at the names of the songs and remember what they are. But then when I get home, I look through it on the computer and make my notes on it. Yeah, love that song, man. And I want to say this first off. You have this on here, this Wasp song, King of Sodom and Gomorrah. That sounds like a super greasy job. I would not want to be the king of Sodom and Gomorrah. Maybe you would. Maybe it would be like the best time ever until God smited them. But the Wasp is sweet.
No, I don't want any.
That sounds like a really gross song.
No, the reason I like that song, I like the lead riff and his vocal approach on certain parts of the song just really stand out to me. So that's why I threw it on there.
Yeah, it was good, but like I said, I read the name of it and was like, ooh, man, that's a gross job. Ricky Skaggs was on here. Love Ricky Skaggs. Ricky Skaggs was actually my very first concert I ever went to my whole life with my grandparents and my father when I was like, I could barely remember, so I was probably like 5 years old, something like that. Followed up by the Quad City DJs when I was like 9 or 10, so you can see the drastic change there in like 4 or 5 years. But
see, I'm not so bad.
I love Ricky Skaggs, but I hate all recordings from this era. I think they sound like vomit. I hate them. I want to see him live or watch a live performance.
Yeah,
but these recordings from this era are disgusting. Just to be in my opinion, they're
I like all of his recordings, but I know what you mean, and
I feel the same way about Vince Gill.
Yeah, I know several people that have that same opinion on both of those artists. So you're not the only one.
My stepfather absolutely hates Vince Gill. Hates him. He's like, he just sounds like a girl. Like, that's not a good reason to not like somebody, David. Yeah, he absolutely hates Vince Gill. So
his recordings are terrible, but then whenever you watch the man on stage just play a guitar, just play it and sing a song. It's amazing. It's mind-boggling. He is an absolute genius. And I didn't give him credit. I bought a Vince Gill T-shirt from the 90s at a thrift store thinking I was very clever, and then someone actually gave me a compliment on it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm wearing this ironically." And then it was a friend of mine. They completely tore into me. It was a friend of mine I respected musically, and they were like, "You need to actually listen to Vince Gill, not these awful recordings." But anyway, on a different subject. But yeah, that's the thing. I love Ricky Skaggs. Hate all of this era of recording. If it involves an album cover like that awful album cover, I'm not going to agree with the production quality. Sorry. That hair was wispy, and that jacket was outstanding.
I'll see if I'm at a flea market or a record store and I see that cover, I'm buying it.
I would at least pick it up and look at it. I don't buy vinyl. Did you just hate on Ricky Skaggs the whole time here? Is that what just happened? Or you hate on Vince Gill?
I'm not hating on either one. I love both. I just don't like either of their recordings during this era.
Right. Fair enough. Another one I liked on here was Xavion. Is that how you pronounce it? That's the...
that's one of the songs I wanted to touch on, too. Go ahead, though.
I love it. It's got like a 90s rock, pop, electronic, like kind of a nice blend of a bunch of different sounds. It was really cool. And then you showed me the video of the lead singer on X Factor, I think was the show. And
that's what I wanted to bring up. He was like, basically they were kind of like, so they're not a hair band. They're like a pop rock band that was like really, the style was really popular in the 80s. But just like the 80s, I mean, so many bands that sound like all these other ones, and you would think, oh, this band slipped through the cracks. They were actually better than this really popular band, but just the way that the industry works, they never made it. So I guess he was like hopping couches, basically, and then somehow made it onto the X Factor, and I guess survived a couple of rounds. So I was happy when I saw that at least this band got a little bit of publicity. So that's just the one thing I want to bring up on that song.
Nice.
It even kind of had a little bit of a disco feel to it.
Yeah,
to me, I guess maybe like it's kind of different. So it was a nice blend of a lot of stuff. Like it wasn't.
Well, and I also want to say that it's not too often that you see full bands like this, especially in the 80s, that were all African Americans playing rock music, but it wasn't metal, but it was mixing a lot of different genres, but it was sounds. Like the sound was so popular enough that it was and could have been played on the radio, and it's just too bad that they didn't make it bigger than they did. But this is what it is.
Yeah,
it's a good song.
Still left their mark too. You know what I mean? We're talking about it right now, so
exactly.
That's better than some people can do. So it is really good. It's different. Like I said, it's a nice mix. Keeps you on your toes. You like music that keeps you guessing. They're all over the place. So good. When the last song on here was the last song last I heard anyway. Inquisition. Is that the name of the band?
It wasn't
I don't have
it
my
was
list
on
here.
there, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was I really dug the music. The groove was amazing. It was really getting down to it. The singer kind of threw me off a little bit, and
He sounds like a
kind of
frog.
reminded me. He kind of reminded me of like Choking Victim or Leftover Crack. That guy Stizza Crack, I think is what he calls himself. But he had that like really rawness to his voice. It didn't really fit with the music as well. For me anyway, it just didn't sound like it.
Yeah, Inquisition, the thing with them that always stands out to me is they use these riffs that aren't traditionally used in black metal. I like to call them the wrong note riffs because they don't sound appetizing to your ear, really. But the way that they're done, they always just, like, it's so different. It adds a little bit of a rock and roll feel to black metal, which is normal. And the production is always really, really good, too. So, but yeah, he's notorious for sounding like a frog. So.
Well, what gets me is you didn't really care for Choking Victim, right? The singer in that, or was it?
No, but it was more
Stop.
so the
I can't remember,
music,
I'm sorry.
not so much the
Right.
singing. So.
All right. Well, that was really the only complaint that I had about the album. It's not really a complaint. It's just personal taste. But the rest of the playlist.
Well, even if it was a complaint, that's cool. At least we're discussing it. So, all right, Jessamine, what do you got?
I will say that one of the first things that I was about to do was not give the Lotus Eater a chance, because I'm in general not a huge Opeth fan, just in general. But around the 5.5 minute mark, that frog section blew my mind and made me so amazingly happy. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Also.
Oh, and hey, that was the other one I wanted to bring up, real quick. I'm always talking about good cop, bad cop vocals. This is how you can do it to where it sounds really good, because the singing is so good and such an opposite. But this is also the time when the band, this is kind of the turning point, and now they don't even do guttural vocals, and they're doing straight up prog, and it's the best they've ever been, in my opinion. A lot of people don't like their new stuff, but I like it even better than this. So anyway, that was it.
Well, earlier I was telling you guys how I don't really like a whole lot of progressive rock, but there were two songs that I found myself liking, and this was the other one. I found myself week by week liking these songs more and more. Maybe it's just because I'm allowing myself to sit down and
I will
take it
say
in.
That a couple shows ago when we were talking about this, and I had the we were making the Jethro Tull jokes. That's where it started. Jessamine was talking about that, and ever since then, I find myself adding more and more and more progressive rock. Like I was already listening to it, but it's like that's kind of taken over a lot of the stuff I listen to. So at some point, maybe we're all three gonna have to make our prog playlist. So
I would love to do that. Also, and just to be really honest, I enjoyed the entire thing for the most part. The ones that stuck out to me, like I said, other than the Lotus Eater, I'm a big Black Sabbath fan just in general. This is my least favorite era of Black Sabbath, but I did really enjoy the song in particular. I'd never heard of the Sugar Cubes, and perhaps I am dumb for not knowing them, but I was super impressed with Cold Sweat. I thought that was a great release for 1988.
The Sugar Cubes were the band that Bjork was previously in. That's how I found them.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm like a massive Bjork fan.
Is she the lead singer of this band at this point?
She's well, they didn't really have lead. It was just kind of like there was like 2 or 3 different male vocalists, and then her, and then depending on how the song was structured, every song is totally different.
So she's singing on this track?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's outstanding to know. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's super awesome. That makes me so happy. I love finding out information like that. That's so cool. Blind Melon, I love Blind Melon. Soup is a great album, top to bottom, so Walk is a great song. But the song that really got me, and it was one that I put on another list, and I've actually added to my playlists, and I don't know how to pronounce either of the names, neither the name of the song nor the name of the band, but is it Hewitt? Is that the name of the song?
What was the band?
It starts with an A.
Yeah, it's like a
Amsours or something. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either. A lot of it isn't. I haven't done that much research. I have the one album from this group that I actually discovered through a related artists section like years ago. I say years ago, like probably 5-6 years ago. And they were related to Wolves and Throne Room, which is I got into this period where I liked atmospheric black metal, and which you could hear in this.
Yes.
Different approaches, but keeping the same thing. So, and I think they have a couple more albums out. I just haven't got past this one just because I start listening to so much. You guys know how it is.
Is all of it? I mean, do you know what country they are from? Are all of their songs foreign language?
No. They're. Oh, I think this album is, but I think they have some that are not. But there's like every song. Not all the songs are like this. They have one that like straight up reminded me of The Cure, and then they had another one that was even more black metal, and like the vocals were shrieking, and I don't mind shrieking vocals, but you know sometimes the black metal bands it's just like it kind of makes me cringe, and I just can't listen to it. So there's a couple of those on there. They mix it up though.
I loved it. I loved that song. That was a great track. I've listened to that multiple times this week.
Yeah, good. That's the second song off your playlist that's just been on repeat, Zan.
There you go. That's amazing.
Good work.
I can't wait to get. And the other thing is, like, the minute we do these shows, I go, we're late on this one. Normally we would already have our playlists out, but I get so psyched talking about this, I just go build the next week's playlist as soon as we get off here. So
I do it every week. Doing that. I don't have mine made yet.
It's okay, Robbie. You get a pass this week, man.
Yeah. It'll be all right. We'll get it made. Make some. I don't know what I'm gonna do this next week. We'll just have to see. It might be good. Might not. No, it's gonna be good because everything I listen to is awesome. So.
I can't say that because I know there's a lot of things I listen to that people just absolutely despise, and it could be anything from the Ricky Skaggs, the stuff that I hate myself, the shrieking black metal vocals on some stuff. So it is what it is. We just, that's what's great about music. There's so much of it out there. But anything else you guys got or want to touch on before we get out of here?
No. We've covered it all, man. Now, again, these playlists just keep getting better and better every week, so I can't wait to see what next week has to offer for us as well.
And just a reminder, all of our Vault collaborative mixes or mixtapes, they're all going to remain. Now, our regular playlists only stay up for a week, so you guys definitely want to check these out, because once they're up, some of these songs may get repeated at some point down the road, but the structure of how they're built won't ever happen again. They're super rare. So until next time, make sure to check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Rate, review, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Podomatic, Stitcher. You guys want to promote your own stuff as well? Real quick.
I'm on SoundCloud. It's Obnoxious420. That's also on Twitter and Instagram. YouTube and Google Plus, you can find me at RobbieD420. So look me up there, find my music, and enjoy.
And you can find me. I'm on all social media, essentially at Jessamine Orchard, and the spelling of that will be in the comment section of the video. I'm on Facebook, jessamine.orchard.music, and I am playing at a bar or coffee house in Springfield near you. Always. I'm playing a couple times a month these days. I played last night, and I'll be playing again, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, matinee at Lindbergh's. Hope to see some people out. Dustin Miller will be joining me on upright bass. It's going to be an awesome afternoon, so come eat some lunch and listen to some tunes, and I'll plug that again next week.
Yep. And I actually got to go and see you play last night, so that was good. I haven't seen you play since the Tipsy Turtle, I think, was the last time I saw you play, so it's been a while. It's awesome. And I was like, oh, we got here late. We only got to see her play just a couple songs. Like, sorry we missed your set. And you're like, I only played 2 songs. I was like, oh, Cool. Well, got to see it all, so worked out nicely.
It was a really neat show.
Too.
Well, and I do want to throw out, there's a really awesome local zine that's called The Thread, and they're the ones that put the show on. And it was essentially just a cover show where we looked at every song from Oh Brother Where Art Thou. and which is the classic Coen Brothers film, of course, but looked at that soundtrack top to bottom, and local artists covered a couple of tracks each from it. It was a really neat night to meet a lot of other local artists and also just to enjoy a really freaking great soundtrack. So the thread was outstanding, and there's some people that I'm going to be hoping to form kind of creative relationship with in the future. So pretty awesome. They're a local zine. Look them up online. It's on Facebook, the thread, just with a period at the end of it.
If you've never been to Lindbergh's, you need to go to Lindbergh's anyway, because it is a piece of history, and Springfield is an awesome, awesome venue. It's a super cool place. So if you don't like the music, you'll like the bar, so come out either way.
All right. Until next time, rock and roll. See you later.